PMCs and flooring suppliers don't always get along. Where does the friction usually start? And what should a good PMC be asking you on day one?
So I would disagree with the first part of the statement where you would say a material vendor and the PMCs don't get along. It's generally a gap between communication, where understanding. So in most cases, like what I've seen is that if there is lack of trust, for example, you're working with a new team, a new vendor, a new PMC, right? That kind of thing. Of course, the PMC's job is to get the project coordinated nicely and get the project finished as fast as possible with the highest level of finish. That's their intention. If there is not enough trust on the vendor, they might see that the vendor is maybe kind of just wasting time or whatever, even though the requirements from the vendor side might be legitimate. But having said that, those are very few instances. In most cases, one intelligent conversation with each other, and then they're able to kind of notice that the people are professional. And so I don't think so there's much of a friction there once they really understand the why behind the request from the vendor side. As far as the question is concerned about what should the PMC ask, what question should the PMC ask from a flooring vendor? So of course the thing is one big question is, okay, you should ask the vendor there is when is the right time to install? Kab lagani chahiye wood floor? So that's the question. Even in case if you're doing exterior wood elements, anything you're doing maybe facade or a soffit or a decking or something like that. Of course, that question once again becomes very important because most of the products that we are doing or the industry is doing here are kind of finished products. And the sites we know can become war zones, multiple trades going on. It becomes very difficult even for a PMC or a site supervisor or the whole supervisory team to be there on, every in the site. For example, you're doing that multiple floors, multiple rooms. It's not possible practically for a person to keep an oversight on all the teams at all the times on everywhere, right? That's not possible. So if you put a finished material at the wrong stage, then there is definitely do expect some kind of a damage and an additional expense in terms of repairing it. So the PMC should of course ask the right stage when the material should be installed. And then the next most important question is, okay, what exactly do you need to make sure that the finish is world class? So a lot of work needs to be done before our work starts. So other trades who are working before us, so we need a certain level of sight before we can promise a good result. For example, if you're doing a subfloor, for example, the flatness of the subfloor, while we are going to put a wood floor on top. So our result is completely depend on the flatness of the subfloor below, whether it's dry or not, whether it's firm enough or not. So depending on the installation system, all these small details can create trouble later if not handled well. So these are the important questions a PMC should ask.
One developer building 50 luxury apartments versus one homeowner building one home beyond the obvious volume, what actually changes for you?
Well, not much. Actually, detailing is, more or less important. Even if you're doing 50, homes or 50 rooms and you're doing one room. So one room requires the same amount of attention, diligence in terms of planning it correctly, detailing it nicely so that the end result is good, and the same is required for 50 rooms. It's just that, when you do it for 50 rooms and they're exactly the same, for example, it might save you some time in terms of repetition, but ensuring that the site is completely prepared. So you have to check each of these rooms. If there are 50 rooms, you have to check 50 times. Right? Detailing might be similar, but that's hardly the case. Each room, because the sites are not really factory made, they're being built on site. So there might be slight minor deviations from the drawings. So a minor adjustment is needed here and there, even in that case also. So, and then, you still require all the prep work. You still require you're sure that you should check everything before you put your, finished product on top. Then once that is done, you need to hand it over properly. And then, once it is, then nothing happens later. So all that, stuff still needs to be done.